I would like to ask, there have been questions when people say, I come from a family where there was no drama, where we didn't fight.
I really love those questions. Or it's
Because
a
that's also the other side of the coin. Because
so what's the
there's
question?
some people don't grow up in a very dramatic family that's into expressing emotions and fiery or passionate. So they don't grow up with it's an atmosphere of where we express and we fight. There's other people that grow up on the opposite coin where nothing is expressed, where they're more on the inward fear holding back. So could you share about that?
The difference between the outer, like more fiery
Yeah,
families. Let us go more fiery family and more watery
expressive,
family. Yes, so fiery, I mean by expressive, outer, watery is more inwardly, emotionally inwardly. That
withdrawn.
withdrawn. It's this is another not danger, but like limitation. When we go in, the same friction will happen, but nobody will see it. Actually, the same laws and principle will apply, the same struggles will apply, but it will be seen under the surface. Luckily, luckily for me to understand, so I can be sharing here in this podcast. But I'm surrounded with lots of friends who are not expressive, who came from those families. They have a tremendous amount of love, but they cannot express it. They're afraid of expressing it. I see them struggling. They're afraid of communicating it. They're even afraid of taking the phone call and ring me. When I sit with those people, and with those friends, and I start being sitting with them, not in fire, not in water, just really sitting in them. When people are given a chance, when they're accepted as they are, every single being will feel safe, and they will be outerly expressive. So it's a question of, they never felt safe to express, they never felt that's okay, that's another conditioning, but whatever is happening within them, and it's not seen outside, but the same fight, the same emotional friction, the same struggle, the same why their intention is not working, because they're enjoying. And most of the people around me in that indulge a lot on weed and some substances of abuse and things like that, to really help them, uh, to medication. Yeah.
The inward?
The inward as well.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
self-medication.
To feel something.
So the inward, it goes into lots of self-medication, to soothe something, to allow, yeah, to connect to a feeling outside of the struggle. Yeah, lots of it's really, we are prone also to addictions actually, because they're very in a more like hidden kind of addictions. Like people you sit and you don't know about, and they might be indulge on binge eating, indulge on certain games, indulge on whatever, pornography, indulge on certain things that when you see them, you're like, they're cool, they're amazing. But then they tell you why, it's nice how you relax. And you're like, but you relax too. Like, okay. So they live in a hidden world, and there are lots of shame and guilt. So it creates another oceans of emotions. But we back to the same answer, emotional frictions. But they got used to it so many times. So even because half of the world is like this, the other half is like that. So the other half will be listening to this podcast. They'll be like, okay, but actually it's really happening to them. And actually they got used to it. And the things that we got used to it, we like the things we get to. We are attached to this emotional friction and the feeling of pleasure after pain.
So the internal emotional friction going inside when it's more
Mhm.
inward. That's why there's digestive problems, there's
Exactly.
skin problems because they can't express it, and then there's the outward expressive, explosive, more fire, and that's again more things with high blood pressure and
I like it.
heart
I like it that you're
and
bringing different physical ailments.
yes.
I would like to make it simple. Like it's not the inner ones. We struggle because I was inner, right? So I would like to speak about myself first. It's easily when it's more inner expressive. Funny, I'm an inner that was in a family that's outer. It's I got the chance that everyone around me, my brothers and my mom, were very outer. and I was inner. So I struggled with main thing that everybody who's inner struggled with, because when we're stressed inside of us and had chronic amount of stress, it's autoimmune. We start to have autoimmune diseases. Why? Because so the stress, our immune system goes down because the stress is constantly present. Where when it's more outer, it's more reddish, it's more anger, it's more fiery constantly. It's not necessarily autoimmune syndrome or symptoms or ailments, but as Krisana said, has to do with the heart, has to do
High
with
blood pressure.
high blood pressure, and all of the things like that.
Yeah,
That
and learning to contain emotions. It's impulses, lots of
yes,
driven outward impulses.
yes.
Um, for me, a lot of people think I'm really relaxed, but I come from a very also uh, fiery family of expressing, more Irish. And I would say I grew up where I was very on the aggressive of not physically, but yeah, it's okay to express and understanding underneath of that. There's a lot of fear, like you don't feel, as Mazen said, you don't feel safe. You don't show that you're afraid. I'm afraid. I mean, that was like, how does one deal with that emotion that's actually deeper underneath anger, that's there. So I learned and really inquired with myself and understood those emotions and what needed to be expressed, what needed to be dissolved, what needed to be given space.
Mm.
One thing I find kind of interesting in the way that we've conditioned ourselves and each other is that we want these positive emotions. Like, I want to feel joy, I want to feel happiness. And when we're actually in the moment of something that will bring that, we block actually feeling or celebrating that moment of joy or moment of happiness. So I notice that I do this a lot, like in the moment of, I don't know what to call it. It's not like achievement per se, but something that is like very nice and beautiful and worth celebrating occurs. And I'm like, great, let's just move beyond it. Let's just keep going, moving past. But really, Mazen, you help us a lot to just say, whoa, can we celebrate this moment? Like something beautiful happened. And I can really be like, oh shit, like something beautiful really did just occur. Can I have a moment? And then the other association I find myself going into is if something really positive emerges from within me, then I want to create associations. Like I want to go celebrate in a concrete, tangible. So like I want to go eat something of food, right? Which is like that's how I know I'll actually be celebrating because I've connected it to a food that I'm eating. And I notice this association coming in a lot, the positive in the food, the positive in the food. So I cannot just be with the positive and enjoy the positive. I want to go to the food. But then I go to the food and what happens? I'm completely distracted. So I'm not even enjoying the food in the moment I'm eating it. I'm somehow thinking about this, and that. So I don't even get to enjoy that. So then I'm like, I don't enjoy the feeling. I don't enjoy the food that I'm doing to enjoy the feeling. And then I'm somehow already in the future once again. So in all of these things, I'm moving to the future, moving to the future. The moments I can really just pause and actually just enjoy the feeling of joy, it's like it ripples through the whole day, even the whole week, and it creates a like a kind of a contentment because the joy, which was more kind of energetic, gets processed and digested, and what's left is this for me contentment, peace, really like really nice, sustainable feeling that I carry with me. The interesting thing again is just stopping to enjoy it, enjoying joy. And I keep thinking, I'm like, that's all what we're like running after is these positive feelings, but we can't even stop and feel them.
Yeah.
Instead, there's like the food or the sex or whatever. It's like I have to feel joy and pleasure and smash them together and then not enjoy the pleasure ultimately, anyways.